Time is coming. The time has come once again to speak as co-creators in Magic Do. I'm Daniel Dubois.
I'm Michaela Stone, and we are your co-creators on your journey into the heart of the primordial.
Welcome to episode seven. Sorry, season seven, episode 11. This is probably going to give you an idea of what this episode is going to be like. But titled, "It's Time to Move Onward."
Seems like a good title. Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to start with. I did before we were recording there. I was just telling Michaela about some magic I did today. I cast two spells already, and then I've got one left to do, which I'll be doing later tonight. And so the first spell was about uh, igniting passions, and then igniting passions and having the courage to be who you are. And so the next spell that I did today, and this is what I was telling Kyla about. I have no idea what it's about really. I have a general sense of the vibes of it, but what was really happening was the entity I worked with. Well, this is the second time I work with them. I worked on this spell. I worked with Run, if you remember, the multi-headed dragon guy, and the in this entity. So it comes across as a cosmic entity, but has the vibe of like your friendly coworker in the office.
Hmm.
But here's the thing: I couldn't get a name for it, not because I didn't want to give one, but I have no idea how to linguistically process whatever it gave. And even when it communicated, I still couldn't process it linguistically. The closest thing I can get to as an example is if you're familiar with the musical instrument, the theremin,
Yes.
right? And for the listeners, if you're not familiar, it's an electrical music device. It generates an electric field, and you put your hand in it, and as you move through, it makes different sounds, different pitches, different tones. And the best example I can think of it is the soundtrack for the original Star Trek episode, and I think
Yeah.
the old opening for Doctor Who as well. I think
Yes. 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 Doctor Who.
so. If you look those up, you'll get an idea of what it is. But I could not, like, I knew it was a language, and it had tones, right, and there was a pattern for certain things and that, but I could not process it linguistically. I had no idea what it was saying. I had no idea what its name was. Conversely, I had no idea what the second spell I did today was.
Hmm. Did you have a feel for the vibe at least?
No.
I would want to be a little cautious about doing stuff when you don't have anything to anchor to.
Yeah, well, I figured
Simply
Ohio Run
because,
was there, so if Ohio Run is not giving me
okay,
warnings, I figured it was good.
because you've had trickster stuff before,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's something. Maybe that's a an advisement for somebody else who's listening. I don't know,
maybe.
but just because it's there doesn't
Mm,
necessarily mean it's a good thing to do.
right.
And I'm not saying that wasn't, but this is what's coming through for me right now. And a big feature for me this week, especially, has significantly been illusions. Oh my
Mm,
God, they are falling thick and
yeah.
fast. Like I'm seeing them for what they are. It's a bit like sometimes several times in a day, you pull back the curtains and see the Wizard of Oz behind the curtains, and it's just this little dude pulling some levers who has nothing to
Mm,
do with anything. Um, so it's an illusion, right? And once you
yeah.
see the illusion, it forever alters how you
Yes.
perceive the thing that the illusion covered.
Right.
And I've been getting a lot of that this week. So I'm also highly skeptical of things that
Mm,
come forward. I'm looking at them, waiting to see where the illusion is. It's just
yeah.
like, okay, sure, this looks great. Where's the joke? Where's the illusion? What's the bullshit behind the screen? Um,
Right.
because I've been seeing so much of that this week. And the biggest change, I would say, is, and Daniel can speak to this too, is the way what you see and perceive and what you think about those things is forever, irrevocably changed.
Yes.
And that makes a big difference to how you proceed with the next things. Like it alters, there's a ripple effect again, right? Back to the ripples, but there's a ripple effect that just alters everything else. Just
Yeah.
that sometimes it's a little bit, sometimes it's so significant you just can't go back there.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, it's true. Like we've discussed this many times, right? Like especially vocabulary we might use on the episodes and think about later, like, oh, did that come across? Because we're not looking at that word or those sets of words or those ideas the same way because we've crossed thresholds and it's like, oof, how do we translate that backwards? Because it's like, because we've gone to a place and you need the mindset to really understand that sentence the way it was intended.
Yeah, in fact, funny you should say that. I
Hmm.
sent out an email earlier this week to my little email list. It's
Hmm.
not huge. It's like 600 people. It's not a big list by any means. But I sent out this email and someone responded, which I love it when I
Right.
get replies. It's very cool. But this guy responded and I got a bit of a, I guess, a lecture.
Hmm.
Certainly, I got his perspective that I was speaking to people who were aware, and I was leaving behind the people who weren't,
Hmm.
and that they would feel alienated, and that the way I was speaking was not going to be the way to get those people to work with me. And I kind of sat back for a minute and I thought, well, I know this person. Like, it's not
Right.
somebody that I don't know. I've met them and I value their opinion. But I considered what he was saying and I thought, well, here's the thing. I'm actually not looking to work with people who aren't aware. So what he perceived as a flaw to me was a no-brainer. Like it was just, yeah, and I don't mean that in a rude way by any
Right.
means. I don't care to mean it in a rude way. Like I don't care one way or the other.
Mm.
Perceive it how you want, but it certainly wasn't intended to upset anybody or you know poke fingers at them or anything. But it was so interesting that this guy thought I was incorrect somehow, that I was sending a message that I clearly wouldn't want to send because
Right.
then some people aren't going to want to work with me. And I'm like, interesting. So that actually means it's working.
Yeah. It's as
The
intended then.
message, the message is being received. That's cool. So I had to kind of think about that one. It was sort of, okay, why did you feel the need to tell me this? You've known me for a while. Do you not see what I'm doing? Is there
Mm.
something hiding there? I don't know. Interesting though, to get that response and that whole gentle but authoritative lecture on how I should
Yeah.
talk so that people don't feel alienated. Like if they're still on my list, man, if they're still getting emails from me, then they probably won't be alienated by that.
Right. Well, that's it's a big thing now, right? Because as we go more through the year, the more things accelerate.
Oh my
And
God, yes.
and the
Yeah.
more, therefore, if you fall behind, catching up is going to be very difficult.
But I think it's like a parting of the ways, think
Mm.
of Hecate and the crossroads. And
Right.
there's what do you need? The key? Do you need the spoon? Like what
Mm.
direction are you going in? And I think this year, this beginning of the year is very much that crossroads
Yes.
where depending on your level of awareness and willingness to open as to which direction you're going in. And I'm not saying, hey, if you're not aware, you go to hell or anything like that. Like, come on, please. But it's just if you're coming on our path, in our direction, even though we do things differently,
Mm.
we're both kind of heading the same way, I
Yeah.
would say. And if someone's coming that way, then get ready because stuff's happening. It's unfolding fast, and it gets a little dizzying sometimes.
Mm.
But self-care is really important at this point. And I
Yes.
don't mean yeah, I don't mean, getting a massage and getting your nails painted and stuff like that. That's nice, but that's maintenance. It's not self-care. Self-care is where you give yourself space when you need it, where
Yes.
you give yourself grace when you need it. And if you need to sleep for a day, sleep for a day. It's fine. Do it.
Yeah. There's a lot of changes going on, and there's a lot of stuff we're frankly not taught, even like as a global society. I won't even limit it to just Western studies. Like as a global society, there's things we're not ready for, and or we've never taught to be ready for, and they're happening, and your body is still reacting to them. So sometimes you do need that break, even if you
Oh
can't
yeah.
put your finger on why you need the break.
And the thing is, if you don't take the break when you become aware that you're carrying some exhaustion that just doesn't help, doesn't need to be there. If you don't take your break, then your body will make you take a break. So
Right.
do it earlier because there's going to be a lot of that this year. And we have illusions around that too, with, oh, well, I can't take time off. Says who? Why? You know what? Who said that? And what's their gain by it? If
Yes.
you need to step out of the rat race for a little bit, and just take some space, do it. Just do it. The
Yeah.
world will continue to revolve. It will continue to be a hot mess. It will continue to be on fire. And you can just step out for a few minutes, a few days, whatever it takes.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? The world will go on regardless of what action you take.
Right.
Whether you
But
rest,
your role in
whether you
it,
work yourself to death, it's still going to go in the direction it's going.
yeah. And your role in it, how you perceive it, how you weather it, how you ride it, however you want to look at it, that is going to be altered by how you perceive and accept self-care. Really
Yeah.
important message. And
Yes.
like I said, please don't mistake me. I don't mean, you go and get a massage and paint your nails. That's seriously not it. We get sold that as
Hmm.
this is self-care. Bullspit. That's just basically looking after yourself. That's like changing the oil in a car. You just do it. You don't give yourself a freaking award for it.
Yeah.
Tell I'm a little feisty today. It's been a feisty week.
Yeah. Well, I did that yesterday. If anyone saw the video I posted on the 5th of February, since this may not be seen on the 6th or the 7th, but anyways, yeah, they kind of opened up with I'm feeling a little bit ornery, so I'm going to ask a question, and I did. But no, today is or we're entering a time, where more and more things are showing up, and you're going to feel them subconsciously before you're ready for them consciously. And you're going to have all kinds of motivations, and you're going to start thinking all kinds of things and wonder where they came from. It's because there's a change, there's a shift happening, and ideas are being presented to you, whether you're consciously aware of them or not. And it's up to you how you read them or accept them or receive them, whatever the word I'm looking for is, because change is coming, change is happening.
Oh yeah. No, we're in it now. And
Yeah.
anyone else that's experiencing the shattering of illusions and the sudden realizations, don't discount those things. When you suddenly realize something that you've been missing probably your entire life or a whole section of your life, and you have this realization, don't let it slip by.
Mm.
Don't sort of ignore it and say, oh, well, maybe that's a bit dramatic or that's not true. No, no, no. Hold on to that little thing and sit with it for a bit. Investigate. Is that something that was behind an illusion? Because chances are it is. There's an awful lot of that happening right now. Those things that you tell yourself as truths, it's got to be this way. It's always that way. This is how it is.
Mm.
Each and every one of the things that you can put those kind of attributes to, I would ask you to question them because that's not true. It's not how it is. It's an
Yeah.
illusion.
It's always interesting to examine your life into things you think, but right now it's crucial.
Oh yeah. And once you start, get your sneakers on because you're going to
Mm,
be going for a little run there. There's going to be a whole load of things one after the other. And when you
yeah.
see it, here's the thing too, and Danielle, you've kind of
Mm,
said this before, if I think on the podcast rather than just our
right.
conversations. And that is that once you see it and you step out of that particular stream because you now recognize it for what it is, it's awfully hard to reconnect back with whoever's in that stream
Hmm.
or the things that you understood then you no longer take with you. It's kind of stepping out of time, if you will. It's a time sequence or uh, a different plane or something, but it's just it's dissonance. You no longer connect with the things you were connected with, and that can be a
Right.
hella weird place to be. So if you're going to do magic in that time, beware of what you're working with because you're not quite in the right space yet. You've left one and you're not quite in the other.
Right. And if you ever feel discouraged being in that space, remember you're getting prepared for a new place.
Oh yeah. No, it's weird. I wouldn't
Mm,
describe it as I don't find it uncomfortable because I've
right.
been there so many times before that it is familiar enough not to be uncomfortable. But it's weird. By its
Yes.
nature, it's weird. You're just not
Hmm.
quite in sync, not quite running in the same schedule as those around you. And you just sort of step out of it and like, I see you. It's a very interesting image. No, it's not really. What's next? And you just kind of you're in limbo for a bit. So
Yeah.
self-care is really good at that point.
Hmm.
Take your time off. Go do the thing. Go sit in nature. Just get some sunshine or whatever you're able to get where you live.
Yeah. Well, there was some sunshine today where I was, so I went out and enjoyed it.
Nice. We've had
Yeah.
16, 17 degrees temperatures
Mm.
today, which is
Mm.
pretty nice. That's pretty nice.
Yeah. It's funny. I'm gonna share this. Outside of religious practices, the first spell I've ever cast was from a book a friend of mine bought, and it was to give you an idea of a little bit how my ego works. It was a beauty spell. You go
Oh,
out in the
okay.
sunlight and you ask for the healing rays of the sun to improve your appearance or
Huh.
whatever beauty constitutes, because it's a beauty spell. So whatever constitutes beauty in the magical world. And so I did that again today.
Oh, okay.
In fact,
Funnily enough, I sat outside in the
yeah.
sun for some healing.
Hmm.
That was what I needed.
Well, and that's one of the things, right? Like I don't remember what the description of the spell was in the book because this is like cripes. Not quite 40 years ago, but close enough. Closer than I care to say. But, you know, but the so you sit out in the sunlight you do the spell for like 60 seconds, about a minute. You keep repeating the phrase over again. Healing rays now begin to let new beauty pouring in.
Ah,
So it opens up with healing rays,
right.
implying that this beauty coming in has something to do with some kind of healing. I've never read the
Well,
spell that
yeah.
way before, but yeah.
I mean, it often does, right? If you
Mm,
can if you can be healed or do some healing or be in the process of
mm,
healing, that has to be a form of beauty in itself.
right.
Not necessarily the superficial thing that people give so much attention to. And oh my God, I have so little patience for that right
Mm,
now. Like I am so out of that stream. It's more nonsense. It's like going into a dollar store, looking at the toys and all the goodies there and everything, and then expecting to find something worthwhile,
mm,
right? It's cheap crap. That's what it's there for. And if that's what you can afford, okay, deal with it while that's what you can afford. But it's not Macy's, right? It's cheap
right.
crap. And all the stuff that passes for beauty and things that you need um, in order to fit in that category, like the particular clothes or whatever. It's dollar store, man. As far as
Mm.
importance goes, it's dollar store level. It's just not.
Yeah,
It's trinkets. It's nothing.
right. It's funny you say it like that, and like, so I'm having this. This is what I'm going through right now with all of the magic related groups I'm in online. I watch people post, and some people really do post some really good stuff, but the general conversations are usually like, "All right, this magic's going away, and I don't think you guys really get what you're doing in the first place because the level is so superficial.
Mm.
You know, it's a more focus on the details of do I have the right incantation? Do I have my set in the right place? And not the flow of it, not the actual understanding of how the magic actually works."
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing with being in the right place and having the
Right.
right stuff set up, and is your candle the right
Mm,
color, and have you got the appropriate herbs, and
mm,
did you responsibly source them, etc., etc., etc. It doesn't matter. It so doesn't matter. It's not funny. It's the intention,
hmm
and it's whatever you have to hand that will work in your viewpoint. Like, if you need to grab a handful of dust and throw it into a bowl and pour milk on top, like whatever it is, fine, do it that way. You're not going to
Right.
find it in a book. It doesn't matter. It's what you connect to in that moment. That, we've had that milk carton discussion before, where you can create a god out of a milk carton and a
Yep.
straw. It's it's not the object itself, it's what you're doing with it that is the purpose. So some things do tend to lend themselves better. I'm not saying don't sort of get the right color candle if you can. I'm just saying it's not essential. You can
Right.
carve runes into it, you can add color to it, you can use herbs or essential oils. There's so many different things you can do to give that candle what you need it to represent, for example. So, you don't have to spend all the money getting the things. We live in a society where it's all about spending money to get the things.
Yep.
And when that seeps into the magical area, now you're just getting performative.
Yeah. And it's weird, like
I'm definitely ornery
weird.
this week.
Yeah. Well, because there's a lot of for new people coming into this, I can see it being difficult. Like, even I'm kind of having a bit of a moment. Like my necklace, which you can't see because, right? But the one I have that has the dragon on it, right? And I called it the dragon key because I use it when I do earth magic because Gaia had blessed it. It doesn't call to me anymore. I
Mm,
actually go to my way to put it on instead of it just being the normal thing I do when I get up in the morning. It's no longer part of the flow. But yet, this was my spell focus for a long time. And if I wanted to do magic without having to do all kinds of other stuff, I had to have it. I had to do a maintenance ritual and everything with it after so many spells. And now it's like it doesn't call to me anymore. Gaia doesn't care. And I still wear it because I like it, but it's like it's not talking to me anywhere anymore on the energy level.
mhm. That's actually really useful what you've just said, because it's a sort of magical inventory,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, what works for me now that didn't work then, and vice versa. When it comes to making altars, for example, not everybody has an altar. Not everybody needs an altar. You don't need an altar. If you connect through it, if it means something for you, then sure. And maybe you have more than one,
Mm.
but I would not keep the same one beyond its purpose.
Well, that's the
So
thing, right? Because
looking at the individual things in it, like,
right,
do they still vibe? Do they still speak to you? Are they still a conduit? And if they're
right,
not, yo, time to change the milk carton.
right. So even my the stone I had that got blessed and empowered and stuff, by Agni and Oya. and Gaia, and now I'm trying, and Ryobu, its time has passed.
Mm.
Actually, its power got used to call in another spirit after I was done with it. So it was like I'm like even that one doesn't call to me anymore. Like, and that was the new one. That was the upgrade from this one.
Mhm. Yeah, and the thing is, it might not be another physical object. It might be, but it might not
No,
be.
now I have another focus, but it's purely a
Ah,
spiritual construct. So,
there you go.
but that's
And
the thing,
that's
and
the
that's
thing.
what I want to, right? And that's kind of what I want to bring up because, like, even for me, it's like, oh, well, that's weird. Like, you go out of your way to bless something, and then okay, and then I upgrade to another one, and that's like four deities, including this, jumps into it, and now that one's done. It's like, so if
Uh-huh.
you're new to this and you have like, and you don't, and you're not really comfortable with speaking with deities and stuff like that yet, then it's like that would be very confusing because it's like, well, you gave me this, and this was like a big moment, and then it's like, okay, now we're done, and then it's the next one, oh, that's done, and then now it's the next thing.
Yeah. And I think that's how it speaks to so many things. Like I'm
Right.
getting, okay, in Buddhism, we have
Mhm.
impermanence, and
Yeah.
impermanence of importance is a
Yes.
thing, right? It's not just, even mountains are impermanent. They can fall
That's right.
down, they can blow up, they can do all kinds of things. Nothing is forever, nothing is permanent.
Yeah.
And even the meaning you attach to something, it's just an illusion. I'm going to use that word all the time for the
Mm.
moment, I think. It just doesn't mean what you perhaps thought it did because it everything runs its course, everything has its
Right.
time, and everything has its place. I was just an image that came to mind right then was when my mom died a couple of years
Right.
ago. She's in a different country, different continent to the one I'm in. And all I got sent to me from then was a few paintings that needed to go to people, such as my kids that painted them, and like boxes and boxes of photos. Right? Now, don't get me wrong, I have no problem with that being what I got. That was fine. That was all I was looking for. But the photos are sort of, I don't know, people in them for like
Right.
two-thirds of the photos. So the things that mom kept and cherished and had all kinds of meaning to, and this was amazing, they mean absolutely nothing to me, and I can't even get them to the people who are in them because I have no idea who
Who
they
they
are.
are. Yeah.
Right? It
Uh,
means less than nothing to me, literally. I look at these strangers. The photos aren't particularly good quality because mom was not a photographer. And yeah, so the meaning that was there was in a time and a place that I am not.
yeah. That's a very it's a good example, but my brain being what it is, went to if this were like I don't know if they do shows like that anymore, but back in the 70s and 80s, this would have been a whole TV show about a spiritual journey. And every week you'd have something happening around each photo until you discovered who the people were.
Mm. But given the age of the people, they're probably not here anymore
Well, there's
either,
that too, right?
right? And just you would have to invest a bunch of your time and energy for that. And
Mm,
right now, I don't have extra to give to
yeah,
such things. So unless it came to me as being something important. But the point that was coming up for me with it was just, these things had importance once. Never for me, but they had importance and it's not there now. So I only still have them because I haven't sat down and gone through all the pictures to get rid of them yet.
right.
Is all, quite literally. But they take up space, so they kind of need to go.
Yeah,
It's interesting to see those things though, and you look at them and there's nothing there, there's no connection.
yep,
That's what's happening a lot at the moment is looking at things that are familiar, that did have connection, no longer do.
right. Before I forget, I have an answer to your earlier question that you asked at the beginning when I was talking about the spirit there that it was communicating, but I couldn't process it linguistically. So all the spells I did with it, the two, don't want to make it sound like it was more, but it was about uh, harmonizing frequencies. That's what it was about.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right. Because when we were talking about, spell focuses like the stone and the necklace and that, my current one was like acted like a focus, like a tuning fork. That's why it came back to me. It
Mm,
was like, oh yeah, right, right. That's what it was. Yeah. We're harmonizing. We're adjusting harmonies, or we're not regulating them, we're
frequencies.
adjusting them for what needs to become. So it's a kind of a calibration. That's what it was.
Yeah, recalibration.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so, yeah, for any listener that's a little discombobulated right now, got some dissonance going on, just kind of feeling some steps out of the picture.
Right.
Um, yeah, welcome. There's a bunch
Yeah.
of us there.
Well, that's what I'm saying, right? If you're new right now, it's like, wow, like it would be nice if you had some kind of, what do you call it? A playbill. So you can see what's going on, what's happening. However, that being said, I will turn it around to maybe that would get in the way because you want to get into your flow and not be disturbed or not be focusing on something else. You need to keep your flow. You need to be tuned to your flow.
Well, I think everybody's where they need to be for the
Right.
experience they came for,
Right.
right? So, it's not for us to say, "Hey, you need to be aware and wake up."
Mm.
And oh my God, I
No.
see those kind of posts around of, if you don't wake up now, you
Mm.
got to wake up with us. Uh, who died and made you the goddess? That's not how that works.
Hmm.
I mean, we are here to let anybody who's able to hear us, who's able to listen, who's willing to listen.
Right.
Okay, now this could be a path for you, or you can find your path riffing off of what we're doing, right?
Right.
But if this is what the good Lord hell are they talking about, and what twaddle is this? Okay, then it's not for you, and that's cool too. No
Yeah.
judgment, no shade. We're all doing our thing. Um, and we're all here for different lessons. And
Right.
it'd be awesome if people didn't have to go in uh I was gonna say dark directions, but you know what I mean. If people
Yeah.
didn't go to the unpleasant side of things, that would be nice, but that's also not my
Yeah.
journey to decide,
Yeah. I was gonna
right?
say we made the spaces. We made the spaces you can go to, but we're not
Mhm.
making you go there. It's up to you. Places have been open, the spaces have been made. If you want to go to them, go to them. If you don't, that's fine.
Yeah. And if you're able to, right? Like if
Yeah.
it's your time to do that. So anybody that's new to this, yeah, welcome. You're at the right time because it's your
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Whatever time you do it is the right time for you.
Mhm. And you just thought of that, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, and the next best time is right now, didn't you?
Mm. I
Hmm.
didn't actually. Why?
No, I felt sure you had. It just kind of came across the screen at me.
Hmm. Well, as every psychic I run into always says, I have a huge entourage, like a ridiculously huge entourage, which is why, like, you know, I'm told all the spells I'm doing now are going to be done with every spirit I've ever worked with, whether I realize I worked with them or not. So sometimes I'll get a spirit and I'm like, who the hell are you? I have no idea who you are. It's like, yeah, we've worked together.
Hmm.
All right. Sounds legit. So let's go.
Yeah. So, what kind of magic calls to you right now? Like, is it earth, wind, fire, water, spirit? Spirit, yeah. But I mean,
Well, I was
air.
going to say, right, I'm doing the deep cosmic stuff, but if you want outside of that, it's still Earth magic calling,
Hmm.
which may be why you got the tree thing.
Could be. And I'm also, I mean, that question came
Mm.
up not from me, and the next question also not from me. Um, but what are you bringing forward from your ancestral magic?
Mm,
Uh-huh.
that's a
You
good
can't
question.
sit on that. You can't hide that.
No,
I'm getting that too. Like, no, you can't do the reluctance thing there. You got to bring it forward. What you
yeah.
got?
Well, like this is where I'll start talking like a wizard. Um, so it's always been there, right? I've always had the connection to the land, animals, birds, trees,
Mm.
whatever. They've always been people to me, like I said before. Uh, lately, my big,
Something, I was going to say something new, something shifted. What is it?
well, I'll put it like this, right? So in my, once you figure something out, you like, once you see it, once you do the journey, you can't see things the way you did before. Like, I can't do the trappings,
Mm. Okay.
you know. Like, so part of my head is like, well, I know I'm supposed to be following my indigenous ancestry, but like I've talked to very spiritual indigenous people, and like that's not the route because people will talk and they'll make very bold claims, but it's like,
Mm.
but that's your culture speaking. That's not your connection to it.
Is there a reason I would get pine needles, not cones, pine needles?
Well, I can give you a bunch of examples as to why you would get that. One, there's a guy, I don't know if he's still alive or not, but fairly, at least in this region, fairly famous, and his last name was Pine. And he was a medicine man. I'd have to figure out if he's still around or not. But earlier, back in my earlier days, there's also, it's from a comic book, and it connects because it had an influence on me. There's a character, fairly enough, named Shaman. If anyone's familiar with the Marvel superhero team, Alpha Flight, Canada's premier superhero team in Marvel. Anyway, when he was going through his journey of becoming a shaman, one of the things is he had a quote unquote medicine bag, and it was like basically an interdimensional space, blah blah blah, comic book stuff. So the only way he knew he was on his path is if he could reach in and grab something out of it. Because every time he's been trying to do it, he'd reach in. Up until that point, he'd been reaching in and getting nothing. What he reached in and pulled out, though, when he finally got to where he wanted to go, where he finally got into the right space, was pine needles.
Hmm. Okay.
So I have several
Because
examples in my mind of
I'm getting the visual of pine needles
right.
and the smell.
Because yeah, my other thing is what's my other thing? Like I am really in that space of I can't go back to, people just having a superficial understanding of things. It has to be a general flow, a very real flow from the knowledge, not just, oh, I know the stories and I'm repeating the stories, but they're just stories. It has to be, oh, this is why
Mm.
this is the story. This is the connection. This is how it's flowing. But I'm sort of getting there on my own.
I wonder if you need to get that medicinal herb book out and have a look at pine needles. I'm just getting pine needles as a connection, and I don't have anything else to work with.
Well, I will grab it. It's right here. As soon as I knock
Aha,
everything over, because I have a very cluttered space right here where I'm recording.
aha.
I have all kinds of
But
books and stuff sitting here. But
I'm literally what I have is like a palm full of green pine needles, so they are not dried up,
right.
and the smell. And it's there's no pine cone in sight. It's not that, but it's pine. So given that I'm getting the smell as well, it's like the oil of pine cone, oil of pine somehow. It's it's alive. It's not dried up and dead.
Hmm.
And I don't know what else to offer in that space, but it's very kind of want to go find some, and now is not a really good time to do that. It's kind of unfortunate, but yeah.
No, me, there's a bunch. Uh, I have no problem getting access to pine needles.
Huh? I
Actually,
do.
there's a tree. It used to be my grandparents' can't, but my sister bought it, Tammy, so they have it. And yeah, there's a few pine trees there. And usually during the year, there's always like dried pine needles on the ground, but I have no problem getting those. But it could be you could be onto it as a medicine or quote unquote magic.
it has a property that's
Yeah.
it's just there. It's like literally there, there. I'm showing a cupped hand
Yeah.
to Danielle. Like it's, but the listener can't see that. So,
Right.
yeah. When random things like that come up in your mind for the listener, that's something that you could stop and just feel into it. Like, what does that mean? Where's that coming from? Um, yeah, what's speaking to you about it? It's kind of hard to determine. Sometimes it's really obvious, and then other times you're just left with a okay, cool, and where do I go from here? And you have a bit
Yeah.
more of a search, or it's not the search, it's the time.
Mm.
Sometimes it'll fall into place in a day or two or a week or two, and then you can say, ah, got it. Ta-da! It's that reason, that thing.
Yeah. I am kind of I want to say I'm going through my own fine tuning, I guess.
I think we all are, one way or another.
Because nature calls to me more now. Like I was fine
Uh-huh.
with being pretty much secluded mostly in the spiritual world and isolated from everything. But there's
Mhm.
a outside call coming back to the world. So
But not so much the populated world, more of the natural world.
yes.
Uh-huh. I don't know, but I'm kind of feeling that might be the case for a lot of people. I mean, I'm so hermity, it's a hermit would be impressed with my ability to hermit.
Yeah.
It's pretty epic. Like I can really hermit.
Yeah.
I, I got a gold medal in that one. If it was an
Yeah.
Olympic sport, I would win hands down. Um, but again, like communicating with people,
Mm.
person to person and in crowds and stuff, the the connection, the line isn't there. Like the line is down. Uh,
Yeah.
and it's not a problem, honestly, or at least not that I'm aware of.
Yeah. I'm still good with confident outsiders.
Uh-huh.
Not not trying too hard to look confident outsiders, but actual confident outsiders. People who are like who accept that they're basically looking in from the outside. I still have time for those people. My instinctive reactions are still there for those people.
Hmm.
The try hard outsiders, no. Those are just as bad as the as people being normal because it's like you're still missing it. It's that you're messing with your flow so bad that you know.
Yeah, I think there's just it's like a frequency that's just we're not on the same frequency. Literally, it's hard to resonate with even sort of people and places you resonated with before
Hmm.
because your frequency shifted and it didn't.
Right.
And now there's that disconnect, that dissonance where it just, yeah, whole other thing, different wavelength, quite literally.
No.
And that's going to be happening to a lot of people right now.
Yeah. I will say this because I kind of went through it. Like, actually, I'm going through a whole kind of purge of old things, of things I cared about and didn't care about. And like a lot of TV shows I used to like, a lot of genres I used to like, even lots of music I used to like, all that's gone now. But, and then you start to ask yourself, well, why did I even like that in the first place? And then a part of me went, no, don't go that route. You liked it because at that time, that's what was what you liked. That's what fed your knowledge. That's what uplifted you. That's what did the whole thing for you. Don't dishonor it. Just accept it that its time is over for you and move on to the next thing. So,
You know, that is things, people, relationships, that's
mm,
all the things.
yeah,
All the things fit into that category
yeah.
where, even relationships that are, I'm doing a summit this weekend and the topic is relationships. Um, and my big thing there is, all relationships also have a timeline. They have a
Hmm.
course that they run, and some can be lifetime, but very few. It's not a natural flow for people, generally speaking. because we're all on our own
Mhm.
trajectory and people come for a reason, maybe a season, maybe a time period, and the connection is there for a purpose. You help each other with something, even if it's not obvious, even if the connection was unpleasant, they're still your teacher, giving you
Right.
some information somehow. Um, and yeah, people get very hung up on how relationships go and oh, this is terrible, it ended, and that's it, my life's over, and all those kind of things. And it just, hmm, okay. I can get that it can feel that way, but at the same time, hold on and just see what comes from the other side of that. And
Yeah.
what wisdom do you get from that interaction? But,
Yep.
to get into the blame and dissection of what was, what should have been, what wasn't, and so on and so forth. No, no, that doesn't serve a useful purpose at all.
Yeah. Honor what is past and move on
Yep,
to what is to come, or what
yep,
you need next.
yep, 100%. And if you can do that more often than not, then I won't say the path will be smoother, but it'll certainly be more enlightening.
Yeah.
You'll spend less time beating yourself up over pointless things
Right.
or beat them up over pointless things, either way.
Yeah.
It's yeah, there was something for you to get from that connection, whether it's a colleague
Hmm.
or, a love relationship, a relative. I mean, God knows how many people have relatives that, they would rather not be related to. Well, okay, okay. You have an excellent example of an opportunity to look at why. What do I get from this person? What learning can I bring from this?
Yeah. You say that, and I had an interesting interaction yesterday with a relative of mine that I don't usually see very often, but occasionally on social media we talk. And we were talking politics, and
That's
I
a nice
know
safe subject.
because they asked me a question because they had said, "Oh, I don't like this politician is something or other," and I go, "Yeah, you know what? I'm not a fan of this politician either." And then a couple of days later, a question came back going, "Well, what do we do about it?" And I went, "Ah, here's a moment." I said, "Well," I says, "if you don't like what's happening in government," I'm paraphrasing myself because I don't remember the exact words, but I'm like, "Here's what you do: you build a coalition, and you because people are taught to dislike or not trust people who don't share their opinion." I said, "So if you want to do something, what you do is you create a space to bring people in, and then you build your coalition." I said, like, because if you look at, France as an example, you don't get to see it much in the news here in North America, but the farmers drop manure, in their was it Parliament, whatever, you know, they didn't like what was happening, and then the garbage men too went on strike, until the government responded. I says you have to leverage your labor, but to do that, you have to bring people together, not separate them. It was an opportunity to discuss something on this podcast that we've been talking about with someone who isn't in this whole magical world, but to give them
Mm.
something they can do practically.
Yes. And this is definitely a time where we need to have something practical to do,
Right.
whatever that looks like for the individual, but not taking action. Ooh, this is coming through very
Mm.
strongly. Not taking action of some kind is to take poison. You are poisoning your system by not giving an outlet to the anger, the rage, the disgust, the things that are coming up right now as the illusions of what people in power are, what they've been doing all along. It's not new, it's not different, it's not rocket science. It's literally people have been doing this level of sketchy shit for many
Right.
generations now. What's different is we get to see it.
Yep.
And that brings up inevitable. high levels of deep-seated emotion
Hmm.
that you have to do something with it or it becomes toxic.
Right. I mean, like I said, my current recommendation right now is build coalitions, build bridges with people, get rid of the old barriers between you. If you need to
Hmm.
have discussions and figure out why the opinion is different, do that. Not in a
Ah, that is a
confrontational
lost
way.
art.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a lost art because these days people avoid such topics rather than
Hmm.
manage them or enter them. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've been taught don't offend people. Like you can control that.
Yeah. You can't give
You could
offense. People
offend
can only take it.
you could offend people simply by existing. Like, how do you not offend somebody?
Yeah.
And I have a client who this is in the ABA field
Hmm.
who regularly informs me that he's offended about things, and I keep telling him, well, that is your choice.
Yeah.
You can choose to be offended. That's absolutely fine. Do not expect other people to do things differently because of it.
Yeah.
Therein lies the difference. There is a breakdown between the I'm offended and the and nobody has to do anything about it, right?
Right.
We've lost that, even that simple bridge to the reality that if you're offended about something, have a look at why and what do you need for it to be different that you can do, not that
Right.
you need other people to do.
Now, I was going to say this is not unique to the political left. The political right just hides it better. Well, not really, but
They're on hijack right now.
yeah, no. So for at least a decade or so now, the political left has really been, you know, high on the idea of, oh, you can't offend people, you can't offend people, writing laws about you can't offend people. Canada,
Uh,
if you misgender someone, it's like, it's for companies, not for individuals. But this keep pushing this idea of you can't offend, you can't offend, you can't offend. It's like I can't again, I can't give you offense. You have to take offense from the situation. I can't hand it to you. I can't
right,
make you offended. You have to decide that on your own.
right. And funnily enough, that's come into areas of religion for me
Right.
these days, where, if I have connection with somebody who's
Mm-hmm.
very religious, and as you know, I do right
Right.
now, there's somebody I'm working with.
Right.
And to me, I'm not going to hide or be concerned about my witchcraft practice or my spirit connections and so on, because, well, why would I? I'm not offended by their religious beliefs, so why would they be offended by my spiritual beliefs? And if they are, that's not my problem.
Right.
Like, but I will be forgiving to them of theirs,
Right.
so I can anticipate the same coming back, right? That's how I see it. So it's very funny when I see people getting very upset about religion, very upset.
Hmm.
It's this way or you're wrong, it's this way or we're going to chop your head off or it's this way or else
Yeah.
kind of thing. And well, how did we get there? And I know that's been centuries and centuries,
Hmm.
but we haven't progressed past that by and large because of the whole let's not offend anybody. But if you're not in the right group, oh yeah, we can totally offend you. So, like, if you're somebody who practices witchcraft, ooh, you're bad. You're evil. You're
Yeah.
gonna hell. You're of the devil. Da, da, da. There's all kinds of stuff that people spout, and they don't worry at all that they're going to offend you.
Right.
Isn't that interesting? But you can't say anything that might upset their delicate sensibilities.
Yeah.
And
That's
that's an example of so many areas you can transpose that into
mhm.
politics, into parenting, into anything you like. If you don't fit in with the in crowd, then you can be offended and intentionally so, right? Like people can try to offend you. You still have to
Yeah.
choose it, of course, but people will actively say stuff to upset you if you're not in the right group.
Right. And that's the thing, right? Because that's the other thing, and I mentioned on the podcast before, right? People talking about, well, if you eat meat, you can't be spiritual. And it's like, who says, first of all? Like,
right? So now all the carnivores are upset,
That's right.
but I mean, hopefully not, because hopefully they really don't care about that
But
opinion.
the thing is that just that concept, right? Like, because if you go in nature, like even the herbivores will take proteins from, they won't go and hunt the animal, but if they happen to have some insects nearby and they're chewing on them while they're chewing the grass, they're not going, oh my God, no, I ate, you know what I mean? And they'll eat shed skin from snakes and stuff like that. They're not like,
Herbivores are not vegan.
right,
That's the thing. They're not vegan. Vegan is an unnatural concept because you have to be so intentional about it and
right,
so very careful and specific. And not all vegans, but some vegans will say, no, you can't eat honey because it exploits the bees.
right.
I'm sure the bees are not aware of this, but be that as it may, um, it, if you're a honey consuming vegan or
Mm.
not, it's the whole thing is an awful lot of effort. When I tried veganism for 6 months years ago, I was curious. I wanted to see what my
Mhm.
body was like on such a diet. Did I feel healthier? Did I have more energy and so on? And what I can say is at the end of 6 months, I'm bloody exhausted just thinking about food all the time because it's such high effort.
Right,
And if it's not high effort, then you are buying the plastic crap that they sell you and call it vegan. And
right.
that is worse for your body than, oh, eating meat's ever going to be. Like, just no, you're eating garbage.
Yeah,
So anything that puts you out of your natural flow would ideally, I think, be cause for taking a break there and just considering, why am I doing this really? And how does that make you more spiritual?
right. And that's the thing, right? Because it's you're professing to be spiritually superior because you don't kill. Well, you do. The plants are still alive. You're still terminating a life, or in the very least, you're maiming something. You're still causing harm regardless of what's happening. So
Of course.
the fact
Well,
that, but
when you cut an onion and the juice comes out, juice is a nice name for onion blood,
that's right.
right? It's the essence of the plant. If it doesn't have that, it's not alive.
That's right.
Just like us.
You
If you
can't see
don't
the
have
cells
the
without it.
juicy
Yeah.
bit that runs, then you're not alive, right?
Right.
So it's to say, well, this is okay, but that isn't. Now you're getting into some very weird territory.
Yeah.
And considering, you know, oh, and here's another one. I love this one. Eggs. Okay, tell me how eating eggs is anything bad for the animal because the poor chicken, God love it, has no choice in the matter. If it doesn't deliver the eggs, it dies. So it has to produce them. In what way are you doing something harmful to the chicken? And for the vast majority of chickens, these are never fertilized eggs.
No, and that's the
So
thing. People have to realize this
what
is not an active chicken here. This is not a growing chicken. This is an unfertilized egg.
right. It's something that you can actually eat without causing
Mm.
any harm, and it's a balanced protein
Right.
and cholesterol and all the rest of it. It's all nicely balanced. So that is a bizarre food not to eat when you think about
Hmm.
it. It's like, but that's the perfect food. If you're a vegan, you should friggin' rely on that for your protein. And
Right.
yet, so
You
that's
made
not
me,
the reason, is it?
yeah, you made me think of something though. Uh, Cripes, I was like maybe 9 or 10 when I saw this. So I don't know how accurate, or if it's still accurate, or if someone was just staging something for the sake of making a documentary. But there was a discussion about, there was one tribe, and they ground up the bones of their ancestors and ate that. And when they interviewed one of the tribes people, they said, "Well, you think this is repulsive?" It says, "But you eat an unborn chicken." Like that was kind of their argument. So like
Hmm?
our ancestors are done with these; they're not using them anymore. But there's still a source of nutrition and stuff like that. So we consume that, and I'm like, I don't know how true that is. Like when I think back on it now, I'm like, are there people who do that?
Well,
You know,
there's still
but
cannibalism in certain
yeah,
places, and the cannibalism is usually there's a purpose there.
Mm,
And, often you want the spiritual attributes or
right.
the energetic attributes of the person that you're
Hmm.
consuming. So that there's a lot of different ways to connect to that.
Right.
And people who practice it do connect to it. It's not just a random, like, I'm going to be gross as all get out and I'm going to eat my
Yeah.
neighbor. So there you go. We're not talking Jeffrey Dahmer. That's a
Mm,
whole different ball game.
mm.
But people who are cannibalistic by tribal culture kind of deal,
Oh my God.
that they have a point to that.
Yeah.
That it's
I have a
actually
joke in
usually a
poor taste.
spiritual thing.
I have a joke in poor taste.
Yeah.
I do. I do. Uh,
Is that
that,
podcast or post podcast?
um, post podcast. The fact
Okay.
that we're discussing cannibalism at all is probably enough.
Well, it's
Yeah.
spiritual practices, right? And
Yeah.
again, we
Oh
have our
yeah.
taboos
Yeah.
on things. Like you could, if the person is deceased, um, they don't need that anymore. So is it
Right.
better to put them in the ground, burn them and put them into the air, or consume them? Now
Yeah.
if you're going around killing people for the purposes of eating them, again, what's your rationale? What's your reason? Because right now people are being killed simply because, somebody's got a small wiener and a big gun. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of sketchy stuff going on. And is that better? Is that somehow elevated? No,
Yeah.
don't think so.
Actually, someone had
So,
already said this, you know. Someone had already said it. Someone that, and they go, if you join ICE, that's just giving small PP energy. But
uh-huh.
yeah,
Yeah, well, you knew exactly who I was referring to, so yeah.
yeah, like yeah. Uh, your actions and your decisions lead to consequences to the people around you, and some of that is going to be ridicule and insults.
Okay.
Yeah,
Where I was going with it all was, you have some people will have these
yeah,
viewpoints on you can't be spiritual if
right,
da 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 da. And I'm gonna say just like people who are focused on trans athletes and trans
right.
bathrooms and stuff, why are you so focused on somebody else's genitalia? Get your head out of your pants. Like, seriously, how does that matter to you? And how does somebody else's path
Yeah,
to spirituality matter to you? If they're homosexual, how does that matter
right.
to you? You don't have to sleep with them. They probably wouldn't want you. So,
Yeah.
it's we get our opinions up in other people's grills.
Hmm.
And spirituality is not immune to this. And people with their whole, well, you've got to tick these boxes to be spiritual. Well, go tick your own blasted boxes.
Yeah, you
I'm
say
not here
that
to play that game.
a few times in my life, you know, I've gotten compliments from gay men about my parents, and
Well,
I'm like,
that's
oh, thanks.
nice.
Yeah, and I say, oh, thanks. That's great. And some of the women in my life have been like, you can't take that. I'm like, take what? A compliment? Like, they were more worried about my masculinity than I was about it, my own masculinity.
Let me tell you, if a gay guy gave
Yeah.
me a compliment, I'd be bloody thrilled. Like, because they are very, by and large, again, this is
Mm.
generalization, but by and large, they're rather picky.
Yeah.
So, if you're getting a compliment, that's nice.
Yeah. That's how I looked at it
Yeah,
too.
yeah, take it. 100%.
Yeah.
See, that's there's a whole lot of assumptions that go there.
Mm.
And I think the reason we're on about this so much in this podcast
Mm.
episode is it's the assumptions that we just
Right.
spout out without even thinking. Like, you can't take that. You can't take that compliment. Well, why? That was an unexamined thought, if ever there was one. Why
Yeah.
can't you take a compliment? Because somebody prefers people of their own gender? Again, you don't have to worry about what's in their pants,
Right.
you know? It's just fascinating to me. Yeah, people who've been on the Epstein Island.
Right.
How many trans people were there? Actually, one. And that one trans person was being abused.
Hmm.
They were not the abuser. So, you know, Epstein Island is an example of who wasn't there, who was not on the list of doing bad things.
Right.
The people that usually get vilified, right? Who was on the list doing terrible things? The leaders, the rich people, etc., etc. Even Deepak Chopra is on there. And let me
Yeah.
tell you, that made me mad as hellfire because, he puts himself out there as he's here for the divine feminine and what have you,
Mm.
what have you. That's not the part of the feminine he's after. And I'm just really disgusted by
Right.
people like that who present themselves as spiritual gurus
Hmm.
and they have that hiding behind the facade. That is especially aggravating
Yeah.
because they ought to know better.
Well, that's what I'm
They
saying.
ought to be connected better than that if what they're presenting
Right.
is even a slightly little bit true.
Right. He's on there, and the other big one for me was Noam Chomsky is on there too. That's why I was saying there's a lot of books. People have to go look through their libraries and see some of the people they've been
Yeah.
following and books they've been reading. It's like go look at the Epstein files and see if you still want to read their books or trust them anymore with what they have to say. Now, being on in the Epstein files doesn't mean you did anything because if you come up in conversation or if you were approached or whatever, you're still in the files. You doesn't mean you did stuff, but
Well, in the
like,
case of Deepak Chopra, who's asking if there was a nice young Israeli girl for
yeah,
him.
yeah,
So I don't think we give him a pass on that one,
no,
frankly.
no, no, yeah, that's what
Um,
I'm saying. Like, because what's an idea that actually came across was like people were also offering up. There's going to be some fake documents in there that are planted so they can be used to debunk it.
Probably. I doubt that that's
So
one of them, but I don't know.
yeah, but what I'm getting at is that the Epstein files, and I'm not here to run defense for any of that kind of stuff, is that, but it's like anything else, you have to really look into it to see before accusations are made. Because, like I said, some people are there because they got mentioned. So if you go through and look and do the word, because you can word search them or something like that. That's how
Well,
I found out about
there's
this.
there's thousands of women who were
Right.
girls at the time who were there who have told their stories. I would
Mm-hmm.
recommend that people listen to them
Right.
because we have so much testimony and it's being disregarded. And I think that is a symptom of our problem right now is that we don't set store by the honest sources. And, this we're
Yes.
relying on redacted.
That is what I'm trying to get at. Is that
Uh-huh.
look into. There's things you have to look into for yourself before you make a decision. You know, or in the very least, really, really think about who you're trusting before you make a proclamation or start arguing or fighting or my God, whatever else terrible thing you're going to do based on that information. Make sure you know that it's true. Make sure it's
But
secure.
don't you
Make sure
find,
what
isn't that interesting too?
what.
Because all this information's been coming out for a while now, and the pictures have been circulating for longer, and yet has anybody been arrested yet?
No.
Only one person is in jail, and that's a woman,
Yeah.
right? None of the males who were involved in this, and there's kids that have been killed and all kinds of stuff
Mm-hmm.
involved in this, like in this situation, and not one arrest. Is that not a little weird? So
Yeah.
where are we? Where are we in
It
this
should be weird,
whole?
is what I'm getting at. Is it should be weird.
It should be weird, and it is weird. And again, it ripples into the spiritual world, and it ripples
Mm-hmm.
out of the spiritual world. And not just because Deepak Chopra and various other
Mm-hmm.
people are in there, but although seriously, I'm mad at him. But what does it mean in the bigger picture? Like, what are we tolerating? What do we
Yeah.
accept? Why? How is action not being taken? How is that okay? We're just supposed to look at this stuff and get upset? Is that it? Is that the point? In which
Yeah.
case, have we progressed at all in the millennia that we've been on the planet? Has this species evolved? I'm not getting a yes right now. Trinkets don't make it happen.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
it's
yes, we can talk to each other. We can talk to each other online, and we have the internet, and we have all these amazing things. Did that mean we as a species evolved? I'm seriously thinking not. So,
yeah.
what does
You
that mean?
yeah,
Like, what do we do with that information?
mhm. You're bringing up something. So I've heard this expressed under the concept of peasant mentality, that people are so used to sitting in the peasant position that they're choosing whichever lord they back. So this is my favorite billionaire, and therefore they're better than your billionaire, even though pretty much all of them are on the list at some point or another. It's like, doesn't matter who you're
Uh-huh.
backing, you're still following someone instead of thinking for yourself, and you're following people who, like, so we might as well touch in on peasant mentality to begin with, right? The whole concept of it. What's I mean, just to be a peasant, you have to assume the person who's being the lord of whatever you're in has earned it, is worthy of that title, has the goods necessary to lead you, right? But for some reason, you have to feel you're in a position of subordination, and that's your
Hmm.
place. And that's the problem with
Yes,
the peasant mentality, is you by default think you should be subordinate.
yes. And people are, and they will fight for it.
Yes.
That's the bizarre thing that we do is people will fight for it. I mean, every time you talk about raising the minimum wage in the US, there is a vitriolic battle over it. And when you look at who's fighting, they're the poor people
Right.
who say, "No, you can't do that. It'll make things worse." And trickle down economy.
Mm,
Is anybody still actually believing that that exists? Because nothing trickles down at all. That's, this whole rich people get richer and
mm,
therefore they'll give you more money, they'll spend more money. I'm sure, but they'll probably spend it buying children. Like it's
mm.
not going to do anything good for you, the peasant.
You
And this
know,
is,
yeah,
yeah, I got a big thing about this. And spiritually, where does that put everybody?
right.
That's a very patriarchal thing, actually. The lord and master and the
Mm,
peasant. The lord who owns his goods and chattel, meaning
hmm
his wife and all the stuff, in British aristocracy
hmm
for the longest time. The guy marries the woman, he gets all her stuff.
right,
She can be way richer than him, and that's why he'll marry her, and he gets all her stuff. It's not hers at all. She is considered less than anything,
right.
just not noteworthy at all, other than how much money am I going to get out of you? Well, we haven't evolved that much from there, honestly. And there are the areas where we have improved, and it's temporary, or at least there are those that would like it to be
Mm,
temporary. There's
mm.
there's so many guys complaining about it, right? Women shouldn't have the vote. Women shouldn't be able to do this, this, this. Why? Where's the threat? Spiritually, there is a large element that has not evolved at all, which is concerning, I find.
Yes.
I'm not quite sure why I'm so concerned about it because I figure that's inevitable, but at the same time, I find it concerning.
Well, the people assigning those values to begin with, well, they're also the people in the Epstein list. They're also the people screwing you over. They're like, and it goes on levels that people don't even bother to think about. Like, some people will be angry with me for using this comparison, and some people won't. But if you look at Obama, what he pushed in 2008 when he was, running for president, when the house market collapsed, right? The bubble burst, and because people were flipping houses and all that kind of stuff. Well, instead of pushing for pay the mortgages off on behalf of the people, right?
Right.
They just
Let's
gave the
bail
money
the
directly to the
banks.
banks. Okay.
Right.
Well, that tells you so many things about Obama and what he thinks, as a good solution, or at least who he's willing to back or who's backing him and what he's willing to say on their behalf, is that we could have made everything solvent by just paying the mortgages, right? Because that would have got the money, the banks, the money. They were getting the money any way it was happening. They were getting the money because the people were just going to pay the banks because that's what the money was for. So everyone would have been solvent, the people who owned the properties and the banks. But they didn't do that. They gave the money to the banks. The banks foreclosed on the properties. Now the banks were richer than when this whole thing started.
Right.
And then this became the president of hope. Things are going to change.
Well,
They're going to be different. But it's like, no, he played the same game that everyone else played, only he painted it better. He was more convincing of you should accept it. He made a better job of convincing people. But
mhm.
but the very fact that that exists and people accepted it tells you just how prevalent the peasant mentality is.
Yep.
Because everyone should have been up in arms.
Uh-huh.
Hey, listen, you could pay the mortgages and the banks will be fine. That's how commerce works. If you pay the person who owes the money to the person, and that then therefore that money goes to the person who it's owed to, and then everything is squared, and then then the person who owed the money isn't penalized, and the person who the money was the money was owed to doesn't get more rich, you know,
Uh-huh.
beyond what he was already owed. But
Uh-huh.
there's the key: gets more rich beyond what was owed.
And that's, you know, I think a lot of that comes from the very broken systems that we have that are global, they're broken
Mm-hmm.
globally. And
Oh yeah, that's common through. That's the world, like that
yeah, that's what
mentality.
I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
global. And but you're right, you're calling out something that is a fact, that this peasant mentality of, well, those people have more than us because, you know, that's how it
Mm,
works for them. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer, and nobody seems to mind.
mm,
Bizarre. And then you have some of the poorest people, and certainly the poorest educated, and I make no apology for
mm.
this, who then vote in the person who's going to crap all over them.
Yep.
Fascinating. And that is absolutely a peasant mentality, and they'll fight you for it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I see so many places where people talk about the Epstein files and they say, yeah, well, you know, Clinton's in there. Huh, how'd you like that?
Mm,
And I have yet to see one person on the left
mm. Right.
say, oh, no, you can't do anything about that. Everybody's saying throw them under the goddamn bus,
Yeah. That's what
you
I'm running
know?
into too.
So
Everyone's like, yeah, well then do
there's,
something about it.
right? There's nobody on that side that's saying, oh, well, you know, you have to protect our people at all. And yet, it doesn't matter how many times you make that argument, the ones who support the guy in the White House
Mm,
right now don't see it at all, and it's all a liberal hoax, or it's,
mm.
you know, they make the most bizarre claims in order to maintain that peasant mentality.
Yeah.
These are not people practicing witchcraft. These are people who are still stuck in I don't know, medieval times somehow. It's but how as a species have we not evolved beyond this? I don't know.
Yeah. It's it's taking advantage of the fact that we give and take our power, right? We give and take power. If someone is better at something, we'll usually follow them to do that thing because, well, they have more experience. They should be able to we'll have a better chance of success. But that doesn't mean they're good at everything. So you don't follow them for everything. Just like they should give that courtesy in return for something else that they're not good at. But what we have is people who've gamed the system, and even though they're not really good at anything anymore, other than being able to convince people, and now they have power, and then they just kind of they put their faces on everything. Like Trump was perfect for that. Most of Trump's things, it's just his name on something, and then someone else does all the work. He just puts his name on it.
And then he doesn't pay them.
Right. Well, isn't that what ICE is finding out right now?
Uh-huh.
No bonus,
Yeah.
no
Oh, I really can't be sad about that.
yeah. But that's what I mean. Like, but that's his history in business,
Hmm.
like not paying people and stuff like that, and going bankrupt even though he doesn't need to. Like it's. But people buy into those stories. They have that mentality, that peasant mentality, where we have to follow someone, or because
Right.
we can't possibly have the right answers, and
You know, during the election campaigns,
mhm,
I've mentioned this before, but it was a long time ago now. Kamala Harris, there were a lot of posts out and about for
Mm,
her saying, picture of her and then
mm,
saying, have you got her back?
mm.
And every time I saw one of those, I would jump on it and say, that's not the question. Does she have mine?
Yeah.
Right? Nobody ever
Yes.
answered that very well. But
Right.
I asked it every single time because the people kept using this meme ad nauseum, and I was getting tired of seeing it because why do I need to have her back?
Hmm.
Why? She's supposed to have mine,
Right.
right? She didn't, of course, because, she didn't do anything for Jews being attacked and so on. But the whole concept that people are posting this and being terribly excited about it and like, yeah, have you got her back? No, I bloody well haven't. I haven't got her money either. Like, what do you mean?
That's and that's a great example because, and in fact, it's so prevalent as an assumption that when Hillary Clinton ran, that's how she ran. She didn't
Oh
run on
yeah.
what can I do for
Woo.
you. She ran on it. It's my turn. You have to support me.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah. No, oof, man, that energy was off big time.
And my beef with that is because like I follow a lot of podcasts where a lot of people claim to be very scientific, right? You must use rigor and you must be very critical in your thinking. And even a bunch of those people were like, well, I supported Hillary Clinton based on like, what are you supporting them? What are you supporting her on? She said a speech that made you feel good because that's not very scientific. That's not critical
Oh, right.
thinking.
Right now, I think most of the support is because it's not the other guy.
Yeah.
And on the other guy's side, I've seen so many posts saying, I just wanted to own the liberals. I just wanted them
Mm-hmm.
to suffer. Well, when you're coming from that energetic
Yeah.
space, how can there be anything good that comes from it? There cannot because you're not looking for it. You're
Right.
not acting to bring that about. You're acting to bring about somebody else's pain. And that's
Mm-hmm.
where we are right now. And
Yeah.
it is fascinating to me. But the person offered us the antidote has got all this. Have you got her back?
Yeah.
You're missing the point
Yeah.
pretty
You don't
largely,
have to have her back. She has to have yours because she wants to be a leader.
Right. No, the point is, what's she going to do for me? And think of the Second World War, was it, where
Mhm.
they said, ask not what
Oh yeah, yeah.
your
Well, no,
country can do for you, but
that
what
was
you can do for your
Kennedy in
country?
after World War II, was it not?
Okay. I just remember it's a
But that
thing.
gets
But I mean,
quoted though. That gets quoted as in
and
people
and it's a
are
problem.
entitled. Yeah, but it's no, no. But saying, "Oh, what happened to when Kennedy said, ask not what your country can do, ask what you can do for your country." It's like, and they're saying like, "Oh, people are so ungrateful." It's like, well, no, hold on. The only reason these people are in power is because they're supposed to have your back. That's the only reason you would vote for them.
Right. So, because Kennedy, who was also a
Mm.
deeply flawed human, said that doesn't make it gospel, doesn't make it, the good word. It's okay, yes, that was manipulative and it had a certain response, but also, yes, you can ask
Mm-hmm.
what your country's leaders do for you.
Mm-hmm.
I think you should be asking that. If you're not asking that, then you're kind of missing the point of having one.
Right.
Right? If you've got to have a leader in charge, you know, I'm reminded of Singapore when Lee Kuan Yew got into power,
Right.
50s, I would say. When he took over, he's a very smart man. He trained as a lawyer in
Mm-hmm.
London, and he very, very smart man. Whoa. And as he was campaigning, Singapore was a place of riots and drugs and just, oh man, opium dens, like the whole
Mm-hmm.
9 yards. It was a hot mess because it's right where all the drug trafficking
Right.
would travel through. It's a central point. And so he campaigned with, okay, do you want money or do you want freedom? Because I can give you one of them.
Right.
And people said, give us money. And he said, okay. And he did. And
Right.
that's exactly what he delivered for the rest of his life to Singapore was, no, you don't have freedom to do what you want to do. There are laws, there are
Mm-hmm.
rules. And he had law for everything, which actually was brilliant because you don't use all the laws all the time. They are all ready to be used at any given moment. You
Right.
don't have to go through the process of creating a law in order to affect something. You pull on it immediately, right? So that was genius. He made Singapore an extremely prosperous
Mm,
place, despite everything. It's also drug-free. Why? Because people who bring drugs into the country die really
mm,
quickly. There is capital punishment, and they don't take long to decide it, and they don't take long to deliver it. So the freedom part and the money part, you can't have both in that situation. And it worked well, and people chose it. And then
mm.
after a while, they forgot that they chose it and they started to complain about it. But as much as any politician has people's backs, he was the closest, I think, that I'm aware of,
That is ironic, but
isn't it?
you you said, you know, because it reminds me, because that's the whole same thing in China too. Before Mao kicked in, it was basically a bunch of divided up between, you know, different crime families, and then Mao basically cleaned it up because there was a I was watching something and they were talking about it like in the West we look at freedom as in we can say whatever we want, do whatever we want, you know, and be damned the consequences. But at least using China as an example, China was used to freedom meant people will like basically come burn your village down, shoot people, kill people. So when order was brought in, and if even strictly, it was freedom to still be alive and not have every waking moment of your life be a struggle. You know, they chose freedom is the ability to be alive and not have to struggle all the time. And if there's things you can't say, that's fine. There's things you can't say.
Right. Well, it was a decision,
Right.
right? And the thing with Singapore is it was a decision. And when
Right.
he said, I can give you one or the other, he wasn't kidding. Like he brought prosperity to
Mm.
Singapore like I haven't seen anywhere else. And to this day, it's the most impressive place I've ever seen. And I've been traveling my entire life, but Singapore is phenomenal. And it was led very openly. So that is somebody that you could say, okay, do we want to put him in charge? Because he knew what he was doing.
And that's the thing, right? My general thing about politics or anything like that is that any system can be great and any system can be shitty depending on who's running it. Like, there's nothing in capitalism that says five people have to own everything, you know, and that every time you give people a pay raise, all the prices have to go up. There's nothing inherent in capitalism that says that has to happen. It's just because a bunch of assholes are running the system that that's happening.
Sure, and because they can.
Yeah.
That's the big thing is because they can. And there's no checks and balances in place. So going back to Singapore for a minute,
Mm-hmm.
the politicians in Singapore are paid big bucks. They are millionaires. They are paid a lot of money. And the he was president at the time anyway, Go Chok Tong was asked, how come you pay politicians so much money? This is crazy. They're some of the best paid politicians in the world. And his response, I remember well, was, well, pay peanuts, get monkeys.
Yeah.
Like you pay your politicians well so that they don't have to accept bribes, so
Right.
that they are free to listen to their constituents. And there were a lot of requirements for politicians who would have to listen to their constituents every week. And if there was a problem, if people were unhappy about something, they needed to take action and fix that. So there were expectations that they would have your back, and they got riches in reward for that. But also, if somebody did still take bribes, if they get caught, oof, it is a very rapid fall from grace
Right.
and finances. Like everything gets taken
Mm.
from you, and you are never going to be rising again. It's a very different environment. Like
Right.
step off the curb kind of thing, and you're in trouble. But if
Mm-hmm.
you don't, you can live a very happy life. So, I'm sure there's somebody out there that would argue with me, but that was my experience living there for four
Yeah.
years, and that's my experience learning the history of the place. So, unless you've spent at least 4 years there and studied the history, I'm not interested to hear what you have to say.
But that's what I mean, right? It's not necessarily the system in place. Unless the system is inherently designed to just ruin everything, that's different. But in general, none of the systems we've put forth politically have to be terrible, and nor are they necessarily good as well. It's just whoever's running the system and
No,
how people are cooperating within the system. Like that makes
it's
it
the
good or bad.
honesty. It's the honesty and
Right.
the good intentions of the people running the system. And unfortunately, we don't seem to have people with honesty and good intentions that are in those positions now. And I don't know that in the West anyway, I'm not
Mm.
sure we've had them. Um, yeah.
Well,
So
I would argue when you look at specifically the Americas, it's basically went lawless at some point. It lost I don't know how to word this properly, the restraints that the old world put on itself.
I was going to say the US was born lawless.
Yes.
That's kind of that. It's always been that way.
But I was gonna get it, like, how last episode was it last episode or the episode before where you're saying, like, the pastors and all those people, they're like the nouveau riche. They don't have the same sense of, like, you're
Right.
saying like the Catholic Church was like the older rich, at least they still did stuff,
Yes,
you
the
know.
Catholic Church versus the mega churches.
Right. The mega churches were like the nouveau riche. The nouveau riche didn't have the same culture as the people who had generational wealth.
Right.
Like now I would argue because the nouveau riche have had generations underneath it, they've gone on to different generational wealth idea. But yes, like I said, right, it used to be noblesse oblige, the idea that because you were wealthy and because you were well off, you had to give back. So you did for people in return. And then that all the nouveau riche got that whole when the bourgeoisie rose and all that kind of went away. That started to disappear. So you started to get the world we did, but and then North America, right? Like when I look, like I said, I always use the historian from that part of the world if I'm going to, really get into a discussion about a place. And like I said, American historians were all like, yeah, this was not about, some people said it was about making a middle class. No, it wasn't. It was about the founding fathers. That group felt ripped off because they didn't have the same power because they were too far away from court, from the throne to have
Mhm.
influence. And so they didn't like that, and so they were paying taxes without any kind of influence in return. They didn't have any power in return for the money putting out, which isn't it honest is as honest as a motivation as anything else. But
And
they
interestingly,
right,
exactly the position that permanent residents are in the US. If
yeah,
you're a permanent resident here, you are paying tax and you get no representation.
right, yes, the irony right there. But the
Uh-huh.
thing is,
It's exactly the situation. And when I
yeah,
brought that to somebody's attention once, they said, well, you should be honored to be here.
mm,
Well, shit. Why would I have to be honored to be in anybody's country? Like, it's all parts of the earth that we have arbitrarily carved up and
right,
designated for, you arrived on the planet here, therefore you have a right to be there, but you can't be over on that piece of land.
yeah,
Again, these are all illusions. They are arbitrary nonsense. Like these lines, look at your ancestors.
hmm,
Did they accept these lines as being fact? No,
yeah,
no. These borders and stuff, they're not real.
yeah,
And yet people die for them, but they're not
yeah.
real.
And it's interesting because, like, what group is from the place that they've claimed? Like, in all honesty,
Right.
like, right? The Japanese were not native to the Japanese islands. Today, if that group had migrated to those islands, they'd be Korean, like, because that's where they left from. Apparently, from the
Taiwan from China.
right. So it's not like, I mean, there was
More
already, and when they
recently.
got there was a group of people there already to begin
Mhm.
with. So it was like, but yet, the Japanese claim themselves as the only Japanese, you know.
Uh-huh.
So it's like,
Yeah, well, pick a country, Australia.
right, yeah,
They have their Aborigines, the New Zealand, Maori, etc., etc. Everybody's got everybody is somewhere that they are not from.
right,
And ironically, the people who are most likely to have a claim for somewhere would be the Israelites in Israel, the Jews that are in Israel, and they are the ones who are told they can't be there. Isn't that interesting?
Hmm.
Historically, canonically, that would be so.
I'm trying to think.
I know. Listener can't see that, but Daniel's
Yeah.
looking very, very thoughtful on the subject.
Right. Well, it was always my understanding. Well, not always my understanding, but my understanding was that Abraham was from Iraq or what would be Iraq. But the thing with that is it doesn't change anything because it's like he brought the idea. Now, I don't have enough of it. I really don't. There's a lot of things I don't have enough information on or enough details that it would be an
All
interesting discussion, but I don't really have
For
a
all the
deep
people
dive
on
into
this
it.
planet, for all the people on this planet who use the Bible and
Hmm.
its derivatives as being canon, and I hate to say it, but I'm using the Quran as a derivative, right? Because
Right.
it's there's a lot
Well, it
of
is.
things in there. Yeah. So the people who would take those as being um, important documents that you live your life by,
Right.
those people would all, if they were being honest, have to agree that it is in there that this is the land of these people. And yet it's the one place where Jews are told, you're
Mm.
colonizers, you can't be there. It's like, isn't that interesting? Nobody, all the people who are saying this are in fact colonizers where they're from, right? Like it's just to me, whether you think Jews have a right to be in Israel or not, okay, you can argue that if you like. You already know my opinion on it.
Mhm.
But everybody that's arguing this is sitting on land that you could argue was colonized. So why is one group being singled out? That's a whole other question, and we've come up with that before. And I suspect there's something in the spiritual world that would help reveal that, and probably doing a study of Kabbalah would be very helpful, Jewish mysticism. But I've considered that sometimes. It's in human design, by the way, the Kabbalah. But
Yeah.
yeah, I haven't looked at that yet. It calls now and then, I might. There's so many paths to tread, which one to choose.
Mm. Well, speaking of human design, although not completely speaking of human design, as I always tell people, just go with the flow. Go with your flow, with what you're, because I always say it's not your culture, it's not your heritage, it's not your whatever, it's you. You're a unique combination of all the things that have come before you. Even if it's something, how to put that? Even if the majority of your ancestors, you know, preferred fishing and the cold, if you have an allergy to fish oil and you're whatever, and there's another thing that affects your ability to regulate your internal heat. Are you going to stay in a cold area and eat fish? Like you're not going to. You're going to go where you need to go, and you're going to find different food sources. So
Mhm.
you're your unique combination. So you have to find what works for you.
Right, but you've said a couple of things there that
Mm.
aren't generalized. One is go with the flow, go
Hmm.
with your flow. Not everybody knows they have one.
Right.
And that we can go, we ought to go, we will go wherever we need to be. Yes, up to a point. Ice would be one point. There
Yeah.
there are people who disagree with that hotly.
Right.
And I think a big part of the issue there is as the population continues to overgrow the planet, people turn on each other. And
Yeah.
that's a sad way that humans behave. But this ended up being way more political today than I would
Well,
anticipate.
it's uh, it's the time we're in,
It is current. It's true.
and it does have like at the core of our discussion is still like for people listening, right? Because
Illusion.
Kyle and I just got into the shop talk mode, and it's at the core of what we're discussing is all the core beliefs that you hold that are keeping you from reaching what you want. Doesn't matter
Mhm.
what the politics is. Doesn't matter what the current details are. The underlying thing is still the issue. And what you're applying to it, like I said, right? Obama was hailed as, oh, he's changed, he's new. But yet, one of the first things he did while running for president was back a bill that saw people lose their houses instead of giving the money to the people so they could keep their houses and the money would go to the bank and fix the bank's problem. They just gave the money to the bank and then the bank made more money by foreclosing on the houses.
Although I would ask if he was running for power at that point, did he have the power to do that? To have the money go to the people? I suspect not. If you look at how
No.
spineless Congress are,
Mm-hmm.
right? They wouldn't do something like that for fear of losing their seat or whatever. Um, so I'm not sure he could have affected that. I'm not nullifying your argument by any means because he also actively backed it,
Well, that's what
in
I'm
which
saying. He took
case,
that position. I'm not saying he enacted it. I'm saying he took that position while he was
right.
running, and people still went, "Oh, that's fine." Because that would have
Yeah,
made me go, "Wait, hold on a second. Uh-uh. You're doing the same old, and you're supposed to be the new hope."
again, what was the choice? And that's a big part of the problem too, because it's do I pick this lord or that lord?
Right.
Um, and people think they have to pick.
Yes.
But as we've said before, not making a decision is also a
Mm-hmm.
choice. So, actively creating or working toward a different system is, I think, the outcome of what we've been discussing today. That's what we need to do.
Yes.
As you said, a coalition, a
Mm-hmm.
collective, or something. And, yeah, that sounds terribly communist and all. Whatevs. Point is, none of the systems we've had so far work lastingly.
Right.
They just don't.
They suited their time,
So,
and then their time was over, and they lingered for too long.
well, they may not have suited their time, but they got
No.
away with it. And
Yeah.
now the illusions are breaking down. We're seeing what we've got, and it's not pretty.
Mm-hmm.
But arguing the toss for the other person doesn't help the situation. It's not, I'm curious to see what the Democrats are going to do in the next election. Who are they going to trot forward as being the solution when they've been doing absolutely nothing right now? I want to see what they have the barefaced cheek to do. That's going to be interesting. But I think honestly, we need a completely different system.
Oh,
None
yeah.
of them, none of them are worthwhile.
Was it some people are proposing anyone who's already been in right now, who's had a position, they're automatically ineligible, is what some people are proposing. It's time for a new group of people to come in.
That reminds me of when I lived in Bangladesh, because in Bangladesh there was a dictator there for a while. And once he was out, there was like basically two parties, and the head of the party was always the same head of the party, and they would literally take turns in being in power, but it was
Right.
always one or the other, and it was like they played tag team, and it just things never improved under either of
Yeah.
them because they were basically same shit, different
Mm-hmm.
sorry, and it was fascinating to see, but they just. Oh, we're fed up with this one, we'll bring this one in. And
Yeah.
that's typically how politics goes.
Right.
You have that one until you're fed up with them, and then you have the other one, and then you get fed up with them, so you have the other one.
Yeah.
Nobody looks beyond that to why do we keep doing this?
Right. Well, that's what's happening. It's happening in the States. Happens here in Canada too. It's like when we get tired of having one group in, another group gets voted in, and it's the same two people, even though we have multiple parties.
Uh-huh. Although, yes, I've looked at them too.
Mm,
Um, they don't stand for a whole heap. The Green Party kind of lost their teeth once marijuana was legalized. They
mm.
haven't got anything
Yeah.
else to argue for. And
Yeah.
I'm not even going to get started on the NDP other than to say that they are savagely anti-Semitic and proud of it. So I have issues with them too.
Mm,
But yes, we basically need literally a new world order, literally a new
mm.
system, um, which means we still have more breakage to do. There's more breaking down that's going to happen, more illusion shattering. So if this is what we've got in early February, woo baby, wait till we get
Yeah.
to December.
Yeah.
It's going to be an event.
Yeah, it's I'm trying not to forecast the whole year because it's like I already got enough to
No, don't
do.
do that.
Yeah, I've already got enough to do in the day that
Don't.
actually is.
Yeah, don't forecast the year. That's a lot to hold.
Yeah, but the general vibe is it's going to be very interesting, and the developments that'll happen, the growth people will experience, that'll be interesting.
Unprecedented, I would
I
say.
look forward to it too. It's not going to
Yeah.
necessarily be the happiest thing in the world, but it will lead to happier things.
Self-care.
Yeah,
Got to do some self-care so that you have the oomph to withstand the storm.
yeah,
That's what I got.
yeah. That's and that's that.
And if anybody's still listening to us, please do let us know because these episodes go long sometimes,
Hmm.
like today, really long. And if you're still listening to us, I'd love to know what you're getting out of the conversation. And even, do you want to contribute to the conversation? Like,
Yeah,
very interested to hear what you have to say. So if you're still listening, get in touch. Let us know what's going on.
yeah. It's going to start to be very important. Not that I'm putting us up as experts or anything like that, but I mean, we've already been discussing this stuff. So if you have places want a place to send ideas or questions, send them our way.
Sure. I mean, do contact us. I'd be very interested.
Same places as always. Think like a wizard at gmail.com. Both Michaela and I, if you actually go to the website for the podcast, our information is there. So our links to our stuff are there. So
There you go. You can find us. We're not hidden.
that's right. We're not hiding. So it's like, yeah, because it made me think like, well, we can't be doxxed because we're already saying our names and we're like candid about where we're from and we're not, where we're located. So it's not like we have anything we're hiding.
Yeah.
But yep. So this was a well, it's longer than it's been in a while for sure.
Uh-huh.
But so remember that, people, it's the underlying stuff. Check your illusions. Check the things you're looking at. Really pay attention, not just the vibe. Until you know how to differentiate between you're feeling the emotion someone wants you to feel and the fact that you're actually connecting to what you really feel. And you really trust who
Mm.
you are and have faith in who you are, because the two are very different. One is someone trying to
Where are you
manipulate
being,
you, right?
I was going to say, where are you being manipulated?
Yeah.
And we all are.
Yes, we all have our things we do.
Hmm.
I still wake up every once in a while, go, what the hell did I just fall for? All right, gotta deal with that.
Well, we all do. None of us are above it. That's why we're still here. We're still in school.
Yep. All right. Once again, I'm Daniel Dubois.
I'm Michaela Gaffinstone.
Until next time.
Until next time. À la prochaine.